This is a Stock Trading Reality Podcast, Episode 4.
Realized that I wasn't educated in it, and it was probably something that somebody was going to run me right over.
This is the Stock Trading Reality Podcast, where you get to see the realistic side of a trader's journey. Get inspired and stay motivated by everyday normal people who are currently on their journey to trading success. And this is your host, who once fell in love with a penny stock that sold mufflers, Clay Trader.
Yes, you heard that right. I fell in love with a stock that did mufflers. A lot of people get involved and they can get kind of bamboozled by company stories that have some really cutting edge technology, some sort of, maybe there's a new sector out there that they're, getting involved in. Maybe oil's really hot, so they get into an oil penny stock or whatever. But no, for me, the very first penny stock that I fell in love with and I lost money on was a muffler company. And that's why when people say, oh, when I first got started, I did some really stupid things. You cannot get any more stupid than what I did, falling in love with the muffler company. They were stainless steel, so I guess maybe that makes it a little bit better, but that's pretty bad. So it's one of those things where people should never feel too stupid about how they first got started, because I think I set the bar pretty high. How is everybody doing? This is Clay Trader, and we are here for episode number 4 of the podcast, and we've been getting very good feedback, so I'm excited to be back. And with my esteemed co-host, Chez, are you here?
Dumb and Dumber.
That was episode 2, 3, and I think we have a reoccurring theme here. How are you doing?
I'm just conditioned to answer that. I'm doing good. Excited about the interview today. Obviously, Dennis has been a staple in the community since kind of its launch, just about. So yeah, it's going to be a good one.
Yeah. What? Just out of curiosity, what was your? You were in penny stocks. You remember the product that your penny stock company did when you first got started?
I think it was like I want to say it was a beverage company, as sad as that sounds, but it was like it was kind of a makeshift Red Bull. It was just a knockoff version of Red Bull, I think, and it was just real garbage product. It was just awful, and I drank the Red Bull, the knockoff Red Bull, for a little bit, but I cut my loss. Thankfully I only lost a few $100 on it, but yeah, I held that thing for a couple days. That was probably my longest penny stock hold ever. But yeah, it was some knockoff drink.
A couple of days. Well, I held that muffler stock for like 3 months. So
you really believed in that muffler?
Oh,
you believed in it.
I believed. I honestly thought I was going to be a millionaire. It was trading for less than a penny. I thought it was going over $1. And this is when I was still in college, and I thought my wife and I were just basically going to be able to move to an exotic island and live out our days. But I was wrong, and the rest is kind of history from there. So a good learning lesson. Anyways, let's move forward and let's get our guest on here. This is Dennis Campbell, and for those Inner Circle members who are around the chat room, you've seen him before. GatorDC is what he goes by in the chat room. He is kind of our local TOS Thinkorswim guru. If that guy doesn't know the answer to it, there's probably not an answer out there. So he's very intelligent in regards to that, and he's somebody that's been around for over a year now, and he's been progressing through the journey. So we're going to hear about his story. Gator, are you here?
I am, Clay. Glad to be here.
Yeah, first off, thank you for taking time out of your day. I know you work a job too, so this will be a little bit different perspective that we have not had yet. Somebody that trades and then also works a day job. So first question, let's start to pick your brain here. So where were you, before? What were you doing before you even knew what the stock market was? And, even when you heard about what it was, what sort of kind of piqued your interest enough to say, hey, you know what, I want to take action and start to trade this thing they call the markets?
Well, I'm probably a little different than most people. I kind of stayed away from the market for most of the time in the last 10 years. Knew what it was or knew about it, but just realized that I wasn't educated in it, and it was probably something that somebody was going to run me right over, being a professional versus what I would consider myself as obviously an amateur. So I kind of stayed away from it. We had the big recession, I guess you can call it, in 2008, and I actually picked up some Delta and some Bank of America stock just when it was really low. It was like down in the $4 range, and I was like, wow. Picked it up and carried it for almost 100% gain, and and decided it was time to sell. This is crazy. And only to see it continue to go up. And I think Delta is now back in like the $40 range or something. Oh, yeah, that really hurts. But so it wasn't really into the market. And for the last 7 or 8 years, I'd worked in construction as project managers, estimator, so on and so forth. And construction really takes its toll on you as far as the time committed to the job and everything else. So I decided I want to take some time off and figure out what was the next step for myself. And I did that in, I think it was March of 2013, and spent the first 6 to 8 months like money was no object. And I had saved up quite a nest egg to be able to live off of for a while, and thought I was going to figure out what I wanted to do. And as 6 to 8 months turned into 12 months and then into 14 months, things just, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I knew I needed to get back to work, and knew I needed to get an income or a steady income back underneath me. So I moved on to just looking for jobs and trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And in that, somehow, I thought about this as we were, looking to start this interview. Somehow I found Clay through Twitter, through other people that I followed. Someone had mentioned Clay, and I had actually, a lot of people I think are aware of the big MJ or the marijuana stock boom that happened in February, March of 2014, and that was what kind of drew me to the market. I saw those big, huge gains, and luckily for myself, I was smart enough to say, look, this is fool's gold. There's some kind of trick here. If I get into this, I don't just believe that it's just that easy. So I kind of looked at it with, I was jaded, I guess you could say, in thinking that there was no way this was this easy. And so really started looking into stock trading a little bit more. Like I said, found Clay through Twitter, watched a lot of his videos, and really just liked the style. I liked the idea of being emotionless in my trading, and being a technical trader, and the fact that I didn't need to read through fundamental accounting files and financials and all those kind of things. I just was going to trade the chart. So I think it was April 10th, which is actually, 2 days from now, is actually the day that I signed up last year. And just kind of said, you know what, I'm going to try it. It's $99 back then to get a 1-year subscription. And so I got in and immediately started talking in the chat room and seeing what everybody was about. And it kind of just went on from there.
Well, hey, man, happy 1-year anniversary in 2 days.
Yeah.
That's pretty sweet. So I want to go back a little bit and ask you about Delta and what was the other one? You said Delta and
Bank of America.
Bank of America. So you got into those stocks and they started to go in your favor, and you did very well. So why didn't you get involved more back then? To me, if that was me in your shoes, I'd be like, wow, I got this thing figured out. I'm going to become a stock trader. So what was holding you back after those successful moves?
I'm not really sure if it was just, I felt like it was luck, and I just caught it at the right time, and it was one of those, I was in the right place at the right time, and sometimes those things just happen, and I was so tied up with my career and things that were going on in my life, I just didn't really think much more about it.
Yeah, it sounds like you were just kind of content to kind of get the money and go, and just happy to kind of store it away. But yeah, nothing like 100% gainer on some big boards. It's always a nice way to kind of start your introduction to trading.
It really is odd that that didn't draw me in more, but I think it just shows what focus I had on my career, and on really I spent the 10 years after I graduated college, I've spent just trying to climb and climb and climb and increase my income. So, it's like I said, it's really odd that it didn't do more, but it's just kind of funny.
Now, after you found the community, what were you trading specifically? Were you kind of scanning for specific setups, or did you just have kind of a basket of stocks you played usually? What was the day for you right when you kind of really dove into trading?
Well, when I first started, and let me say this, I joined April 10th and immediately took some of the courses that Clay offers, robotic trading training, and the penny stock survival guide. And from those two, I studied. I believe I signed up on April 10th, and I don't think I actually started trading till May 1st. And really just trying to figure out, what my trading style was. I think, similar to you guys, my first stocks that I traded were penny stocks. I think I traded a flag, I actually remember I had sent Clay a chart via email and said, check out this flag pattern on this penny stock. And the flag pattern that next day had broke out, and I played it. But unlike, or similar to a lot of other people, I didn't take any profits. It broke out. It started going up. And then, as most people do, they got greedy and they hold on to it until it goes back down until it's a loss.
Let me ask you this, so because I'm trying to structure a timeline so we can really follow how long certain things take. So you did your you're searching on Twitter or doing whatever, looking for other career paths, and then finally, what made you want to actually do stocks? And then from that point forward, when did you first place your first trade? From the point you said, you know what, I want to get into stocks. Was it before you joined us, or was it after you joined the inner circle? When was the time from, yep, I want to try stocks, from that point till putting real money on the line? What was that time frame looking like?
It was probably I did not trade. Let me say this: I did not trade before I joined the inner circle. I knew, and somehow in the back of my mind, that I needed to educate myself before I just went into a business where there were other professional traders out there. And I realized that, it was easy to lose money just as easy as it was to make money. And that money that I had earned was hard earned, and I didn't want to do anything to kind of just throw it out there and gamble, quote unquote. So, I was patient with it.
I got it. You just said this will definitely be in the show notes for quotes, but you said, I understood that I was getting myself in a business where there's other professionals in this business. I mean, that is such a good point, because so many people, myself included, they just look at trading as almost some big fancy game or fancy hobby, and they think, hey, I can sign up. I saw a Super Bowl commercial. I can sign up for a broker, and hey, look, I'm a trader. And they treat it, they don't treat it like a business where there are other professionals out there that are going to take their lunch from them in a heartbeat. So that's a great perspective, and I think you definitely got to be in the exception and not the rule there, because most people, there's no way that they look at. Ches, what about you? When you were first looking at it, did you look at it as a business where you would be competing against other professionals, or how did you look at things, Ches?
Right, I was just about to say, Gator, you are completely unique in my sense. You're definitely part of that smaller percentage, because, I looked at it like a supplemental income source, but more so, I always joke about this to other people, is that it's like a hobby. For a lot of people, it's just kind of a hobby. Like, oh, I'll put on a few trades, I'll make a couple bucks. It's fun, but they don't, they really don't approach it with that seriousness that you need. And, Dennis over here, right from the get-go, is like, I understand that there are people here that will take my money immediately without any hesitation. So, yeah, it's kind of completely, for me, unique to hear. But yeah, I approach it as kind of something I could do before work and hopefully, make more money than I was making in my day job. But it took me a while to realize that, I really need to kind of treat this, as serious as if it was a home business. And that's honestly what it is. You are you're the captain of your business. You are completely in charge of whether you make money or you lose money. It's completely on your shoulders.
Yeah, you are the CEO. So let's kind of jump back to where you were, Gator. You said you had found a penny stock. It broke out of the flag pattern, and you didn't take profits. So at that point, what do you think, or what did you think, at least in your mind, was your strategy? Did you consider yourself maybe like a breakout trader or a pattern trader? Like, how were you kind of justifying your decisions at that point in time?
It was exactly like you're talking about. I was looking for mostly these bull flags or ascending triangles that were breaking the upper trend line. And I was entering either on the breakout, just before the breakout, or even sometimes after. If I missed the breakout, I would say, oh, well, it's got to keep going. It just broke out. So I would find these patterns, I would draw the lines, and on I would go.
And I actually joined a little bit after you, and I know you're a huge you enjoy the Thinkorswim platform. It's a very powerful tool, and you as an engineer, I remember right when I started, we did a lot of discussions on scanning. So what led you to kind of ultimately land on Thinkorswim? Was it the scripting abilities it has? What drew you to that platform specifically?
I guess, honestly, in my research and going through everything, when I first was looking for a broker, some of the other follows that I had out there on Twitter and other people that kind of looked like they were successful traders, to myself, had used Thinkorswim. I had seen a lot of people that had used it. And honestly, like you're saying, I'm an engineer. The software package, the ability to do some of the custom coding that you can do within Thinkorswim, I was really impressed by the platform. And I wasn't aware of some of the discount traders that are out there, or discount brokers that are out there right now. And so it drew me in, and I really probably launched my trading career just because of the platform, because I was able to really get myself deep inside of what the platform was doing, what the chart was doing, what all the pieces and parts were, and I felt like I was really a professional trader.
So when you joined Inner Circle, what broker were you using at that point in time?
I had already had, from the account that I'd had back in 2008, I'd had an E-Trade account with, I think it had $5,000 or $10,000 in it that I had left in there, and like I said, it had sat there for forever, and it actually it was very frustrating. Some of the charts and some of the things with their platform were very archaic, and so even more so, it led me to the Thinkorswim platform. Some of your training that you do in the courses, talked about some of the drawing features and some of the different features that I was looking for in a platform, and those things weren't in E-Trade at that time, and I'm not even sure if they've updated it since then. But I was just a normal guy trying to get a retail broker to be able to work with.
So that really brings up a good point from episode number 3 of the podcast, where Ches and I spoke about trading technology, and brokers make such a big difference in that regard. Gator, perfect example here, a real life example. He was using one broker, really struggling. They weren't making his life as efficient as what it could be. And when he changed, things started to get that much better. Not necessarily because of anything he did, but just because of the technology he had his fingertips on. Really made a big difference. So. Bottom line here is definitely go out there, take your time, research the brokers. There's a lot of them out there, and don't just settle for one. Find something that's gonna, make things most comfortable for you. So next question for you here. I'm curious on this, and I'm curious, for all future interviews here forward. But were you winning at first, or were you losing? And how did those first few trades go? I know you mentioned already that you hadn't taken profits and stuff like that, but at what point did it kind of finally dawn on you? Something's just not quite right still.
My trading was probably mixed. At this point in time, I was still full-time trading, so and I was still new to it. I had probably gone through robotic trading 4 or 5 times to just really pound it into my head exactly what I needed to know and what I needed to be able to react with as I was trading the charts. But it was still up and down days. I would have a $2,500 day here, and then I would have a negative $3,000 day here, and then it was mixed because I had a plan for what I wanted the chart to look like. But once I was in the trade, I really didn't have a plan. My only thing was to get in when I thought it was going to go to the moon, and then you get to the moon and you don't realize what you really wanted to do when you got there.
Or you don't realize that you're even at the moon at that point. You're like,
that is correct. So a lot of times people don't have the right expectations, and you don't know whether the stock's going to go from 10 cent to 20 cent, or whether it's going to go from 10 cent to $1. So you really don't know what your distance is.
Yeah, so I'm actually on the moon right now, waiting for a lot of stock arrivals. So I'm here at the arrivals gate, but no one's really kind of pulled into the station yet. But I'm still here waiting. So you're having mixed success at this point. What if you had to kind of pick, a turning point? What was it in your trading that kind of skewed, your either your win loss or your profits? What was it? Did you kind of find some indicators that worked better for you? Was it a time frame specifically? What kind of flipped your trading around from kind of break even to now you're much more comfortable and confident in yourself?
Well, it's kind of a multitude of things. As I was trading in May of last year, I continued to purchase more courses to increase my education, to add to my strategies. Some of Clay's advanced course material that he's got out there is really, really good in the fact that it goes through every piece and part of the trade. From how to find the trade to how to execute the trade to how to make sure to get out of the trade if it fails on you. So those courses, I think it was the trampoline course, and then the next one that I think I took was the shorting for profit course. Between those two courses right there, I really started to get a strategy or a feeling that I knew what was kind of in my wheelhouse.
Let me cut you off, because you've always brought this new perspective that I never had any intention of when I put together that shorting course. But use your analogy about being in the other team's huddle with the shorting course, because that's a great perspective of how some people think, well, I'm never going to short. Shorting doesn't matter. I'm never going to do it. So why learn about it? Well, what would your response be to that statement?
Well, that was one of the crazy things is, I'm a thinker. I'm an engineer, so I'm always trying to tear things apart and really figure out how everything goes together. And one of the things I really realized with the shorting for profit course was, while you might not be looking to short because maybe you're in a IRA account or you're in some other restricted account where you don't have margin or you don't have access to short shares, one of the things that you learn through seeing what one side is trying to do is, it's like football to me. If I'm a quarterback, I need to know what the defense is thinking so that when they see something, I know how they're going to react. And it's the same thing in stocks. If I see the candles going in a certain direction and making certain shapes and patterns, I need to know whether that's good for the offense, aka the Bulls, if you're going for a long position, or if it's good for the defense, which in that case would be the Bears trying to push back down. And so that was really just mind-blowing to me that I could take a course, like you said, that you had no intention for it to be something like this, but really in learning one side of the trade, you learn what the other side of the trade doesn't want to see.
So that's actually a really interesting perspective because, like you said, a lot of people just kind of look at the shorting course and say, oh, it's only for shorting, but you kind of, take you flip the coin and kind of see what your competitors are doing or what the competition is doing, on the other side of it. So that's really unique. I don't think a lot of people ever, a lot of people won't put that kind of thought into that when they're studying a specific strategy or, honing their own techniques. So you took that. I know there was a lot of trampoline plays right when we had started kind of over the summertime. So you said trampoline trading and shorting, that really kind of helped you take your trading to the next level?
It really gave me what I felt like was a structured plan for being able to enter a trade, exit a trade, find the trade, all the above things that you need to be able to do to properly feel like you have a really solid strategy of, I'm not just flipping a coin and throwing money or gambling or however you want to define it. It was really, that was the point where I really felt like I finally had something solid to be able to stand on. Like my foundation had been built and that I was starting to build my I guess history of different strategies that I wanted to use and that fit my personality.
So pretty much, what you were missing was essentially, like you said, a trade plan. You would get in, and then you kind of you didn't know what was going on. But within your trading journey, once you finally figured out how to structure a plan, how to manage a trade, that was pretty much the big turning point. Is that what your pretty fair statement?
That would be a pretty fair statement. Shortly after that, I would say that you, and of course, as my trading career goes, some of your courses had come out during that time, and so at that time, I believe the risk versus reward course had come out, and it was one that I immediately purchased and said, hey, this is something that I could advance on. But the funny thing is a lot of the things that you taught in that course, I had already kind of gone through in my head, knowing that I needed to have some sort of plan that said, if this trade goes bad, I'm not going to wipe out all the winners that I've had for the last 2 weeks. So I knew that there was something that I needed there. And then that course came out, and it was like, wow, it was very easy to tie it together and to see exactly what I'd been thinking was correct.
I do remember that. I remember our email exchanges as I was working on that course and thinking, wow, Gator's already really starting to think about this stuff. You sent me that fancy spreadsheet that you put together, and I'm like, holy smokes, that's impressive. That's he's well above, his mind is definitely in the right area. So I specifically remember that because that spreadsheet you sent, and which was very impressive. So yeah, you were definitely kind of a little bit ahead of the ball, and I had a feeling that was really going to tie it together for you. Now let's talk losses, because losses is something that people don't like to talk about. People are ashamed of in the world of trading. And, if you're trying to sell stuff, of course you don't want to talk about losses. But here we got to keep things realistic. So let's talk losses. And the big question that I'm very curious about for everybody is, okay, a loss happens, or maybe a loss is happening. What's going on in your mind? For those of you that maybe have never traded, this may not mean as much, but trading is very psychological. And, the only way I can really tell you to explain it is go put some of your money on the line, enter into a trade, and then watch, oh, I'm losing money. Okay, I'm making money. I'm losing money. It'll screw with you. So Gator, mentally, how do you acknowledge a loss? How do you accept a loss? And then how do you get over a loss? So what the 3 stages of quote unquote grieving?
Around this time, like I said, I believe this was May, June of last year. Now we're moving into, quite a bit into my trading career. And at this point, I'd realized already that emotions were a big part of trading, that there was a lot of psychology behind it. And that was part of the trading that, I kind of said, okay, this is what I got to get out of. And so the losses did happen, and some of them were quite big. I remember, I want to say that I had a day where I'd lost $7,500 on trading Newell, Newl. That stock moved up and down, and I had some really big days of it going up in my direction. And
that stock actually went up. I just remember that one, just a sinking ship. That's wow.
It did have, I believe, as they will, as people will learn, what a short squeeze is called. I think we had quite a few short squeezes on that, but in the long run, that stock was a sinking ship. No pun intended. But the losses and the gains and everything else. For me, looking at the psychology side of it, I tried as best as I can to not let myself get emotional over either of them. I would have big days in the positive and in the negative, but every time I lost, one of the biggest things for me was to be able to put that away and not let it affect my next trade. And that was hard to do. I had quite a few days where I think I remember talking to you about I would have a big loss and I would shut off my monitors, go outside, and go for a walk for 30 minutes, only to come back and see that the stock had did what I wanted it to do, only it was just a little bit later. My timing was off. So there's a lot of emotions in it, and a lot of people have a hard time overcoming that part of trading. But it's something even to this day that you still deal with. I find myself all the time, having to just check where I'm at and make sure that my emotions aren't getting out of control. For the most part now, I use a strategy where I take the emotions completely out of the trade. I let the orders do their work for me, and if the trade goes right, I make money. If the trade goes wrong, I cut my losses, and it really helps take the emotion out of it. It's now become really more of a strategy that is something that I know I can use in the long run.
So just to make things practical, you took a loss sometimes and you'd go and literally take a walk. And that's how you help deal with the emotions. Does that help? I mean, did you feel better when you came back? I mean, regardless of, oh, wow, the stock went in my direction. Did you feel better psychologically after? Did that help you get over the loss?
It was what I needed to be able to shake it out of my head and tell myself that I had put in the work, that I had studied, that I had put in the time to know what I was doing. There were still, like I said, things that I would get maybe too large in size. And so where I thought I was only risking, say, $1,000, all of a sudden it would end up being a $3,000 loss because I was undisciplined still. I still, even though I could make a plan, even though I could make a strategy, I felt like I had it all under control, only to see that there were still times when I was breaking my own rules. And I remember a specific time in the chat room where, I typed in there and said, I'm putting myself in timeout for the rest of the day. I'm not allowed to trade because I had come to the conclusion that probably 75% of my trades that were really big losers were because I failed to follow my rules. And at some point, you have to put your foot down and say, you know what? If you're going to do dumb things, then you need to be punished for it. And so my punishment that day was I could sit there and watch stocks and watch what they did, but I could not trade. And so
it's funny because outsider looking in, if I put myself in their shoes, and I've never traded a stock, I'd be like, these stock traders, they sound like lunatics. This guy is punishing himself. He's making himself sit in time out. What is this guy, crazy? But if you've traded a stock, you totally understand. And that's why this is very interesting, because any way we can help people, maybe give them some tactics to try to, get over the losses and save themselves from doing anything crazy is, maybe do the Gator and just put yourself in timeout. I like that. If things are kind of getting out of control and you're getting frustrated, put yourself in timeout. And again, if you can't relate, if you think this all sounds crazy, put some of your money on the line, and you'll figure out real quick just how psychological this business really is. So very interesting stuff there, and I love it, Gator. Put yourself in timeout. But I do remember that when, and that's why I like the chat room too. It's one of those things where you can be transparent and just kind of tell people what's going on, and that helps out. And also a huge thing there, because I get emails from people all the time. You said, you have rules, you've learned how to put rules into place, but if you don't follow the rules, then things get bad. And you can go out there and spend $50,000 on courses. You could go out there and get a 4-year degree in stock trading. I don't think that exists. But if you don't listen to what's being taught, if you don't honor your rules, then it doesn't matter. I mean, it's just going to be money down the drain. At the end of the day, you've got to be the one, that follows the rules and honors your rules. I mean, do you agree with that, Ches? There's no course, no amount of money is going to make you be able to follow the rules.
Oh yeah, it doesn't matter, how much if you're not following your plan, or making a plan in general. It's you could have all the education in the world, but if you're not disciplined, it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, exactly. It's a lot of people think that hey, I spent money on some sort of course. And I'm not implying my course is just anything in really in life. Hey, I spent money. How come it's not working? Well, are you really listening to what you learned? So where are you at right now, Gator? I know you've gone back to work a little bit because you have, I can't remember, is it like a 1-year plan or 2-year plan? I mean, I know you have a very structured, as an engineer, I totally relate and can appreciate, but you have a timeline of, what you're kind of looking to do. So what's the timeline and where are you at within that timeline?
Well, as you stated, I did go back to work. I think it was the end of July. when after doing all this trading and everything else, I realized that one of the things psychologically that was affecting me was my security and my financial position. And having been off for, at that time, I think it was 15 months, I had quite a drawdown on my, I guess you would call my rainy day fund. And so it really impacted the way I traded. I tend to force trades or hold on to losing trades longer than I should because I said, I've got to have a winner. I've got to be able to make this money to start paying bills or to start paying rent or whatever. And so I did go back to work, and I had a plan, and I said, I want to rebuild the rainy day fund that I had. I want to be able to save that up. And so I've cut expenses. I've cut my budgets. I've tried my best to cut corners everywhere I can to be able to save, to be able to put this back into place as a full-time trading career. I think a lot of people, and I know I've talked to Ches quite a bit about this, is people start getting into trading and all of a sudden they see people having success and they think, oh man, I can just quit my job tomorrow and start trading. And next thing I know, I'll be driving Lamborghinis and pulling my Apache helicopter behind it. And that stuff, while there are people out there that know how to trade and do those kind of things, as a new trader, and I would classify, I'm a little different than Hooch in podcast number 2 and the fact that he had been trading for 15 years. I like I said, I'm 2 days away from 1 year into the trading side of it. So, the experience, the path that you go on through your trading career from point A to no one even knows where the end is, but there are lots of ups and downs that you go through, a lot of emotions and a lot of stages, that you go through. And so those things are very tough on you. And so I've kind of put myself on a goal that I want to get back to a certain level to be able to know that my trading for the next year, will not affect whether, I can make it or not, will not affect whether, I can pay the bills or anything else. So it really removes the pressure from you from a psychological standpoint and really helps out with that. Right now, my plan or my effective date that I would like to reach my goal is, I believe, September of this year. And I'm tracking along great with that. I've been trading on the side as I work. When I have time, when I can find a setup that I like, I will squeeze in a trade, and so that's been helping as well to help build up the account and build up the rainy day fund that I have that I'm working on.
Yeah, you brought up something that's, really a critical point, and one of the main factors I think that cause people to fail is if you are trading in order to pay your rent or your mortgage or to put food on your table, you're not going to win. You're going to fail because all that's going to do, like Gator said, is it's going to psychologically screw with you. It's going to force you into trades. And the last thing as traders we want to be doing is forcing trades, because that means we're making exceptions to what our plan is, and exceptions to what your plan is not good. It needs to follow your plan. But if you're thinking, I gotta pay the rent, the landlord's knocking on my door right now. If that's a setup, or if that's your situation, the odds are stacked vastly against you because it's just not going to work out. So what I really like about Gator and what he just said was he acknowledged this. He said, you know what? I'm struggling right now. I'm struggling because my rainy day fund is running out, and I got too much pressure on myself. Now, he didn't accept defeat. Just saying, you know what, I need to go back to work, there's no shame in that at all. It's actually a very logical decision. So if you're out there and you're feeling, I keep screwing up because I want to make money, because I got to make money, because I got to pay my mortgage, there's no shame at all in going and picking up a part-time job, a full-time job, and kind of doing what Gator did and, trading on the side. So no shame in that at all. In fact, I would argue that actually makes you a better trader because it shows you're being very rational about things. A great point there. So where are you at right now, Gator, in terms of, what are you looking at when you trade? What kind of, strategies are you maybe biased towards? Stocks, options. Where are you at right now in regards to that?
That is one of the things that has been introduced since probably around that June, July time is the actually moving into options or looking at how options can be utilized as a leverage tool. One of the things that I realized in my trading, which kind of was a surprise to myself, was how risk adverse I was. And I did not like having a lot of money out there on the table. I didn't like, the fact that something could happen and I could lose that hard-earned money. So one of the things that really drew me to options was the lower, I guess, cost of entry as far as capital was concerned, and understanding that as long as I used my strategy that I had already had in place, that included using stop losses, including having profit targets, and being able to do a trade without even watching it. Sometimes I will place a trade while I'm at work. I will find a setup, and then I'll have a meeting that I'll have to go into, or I've got to get on a conference call with somebody, and the trade will be working for me. And I don't even have to watch it because I have the ability to put in orders and be able to have my platform and my broker monitor the trade for me. So I have at this time probably moved into 85% options. Every once in a while I'll find a stock trade that, the setup is something I really like, which 9 times out of 10 will be on the short side. I don't know what it is. I just, for some reason, shorting a stock and a stock going down versus a stock trying to make the climb. I always make the reference in the inner circle chat room of going long on a stock is like trying to climb up the stairs of a slide, and being short on a stock is always like going down the slide. That's the fun part. And I know a lot of people say, "Oh, that's horrible. You want stocks to go down in price?" And for me, it's not. It has nothing to do whether a stock goes up or down in price. Matter of fact, as Clay teaches, and part of the thing that I love is I probably couldn't tell you what half the tickers that I traded have, what they even do. I know you started off the interview with talking about mufflers and drinks and penny stocks. I remember vague. I know that it was like a veggie biofuel was the first penny stock that I bought or something like that. But I don't even know what they did. And that was the great part, was with technical trading, with charts, with using technical analysis. You're trading a pattern on a chart. You're not looking at fundamentals of a company. You're not worried about what somebody thinks or anything like that. You're just trading the action that's on the chart and trying to take advantage of that to make an income.
Yeah, that's awesome. I know a lot of people are interested in, okay, I have a job too. So dig a little bit more into how do you trade at work? I mean, are you sitting at your computer? Are you using your phone? Are you going on quote unquote bathroom breaks all the time? I mean, how do you pull off trading, with a full-time job?
Well, I can tell you this, having been in it, having been trading for almost a year, and part of that being where I had a full-time focus on it, I believe my experience level has increased exponentially to where there's things, and I always talk about this, where you need to be able to know the education and have the background under your belt so that you know exactly how to react to a situation without having to think. One of the biggest things as you're starting to learn and starting to gain experience with trading is you're still kind of fumbling around. It's almost you like a baby. You start to crawl, and then you start stumbling around, and you're learning how to walk. But really, if I weren't where I'm at now, I wouldn't be able to trade 100% feeling the way I do unless I had the experience and the training that you've provided to be able to do it. I do sit at a computer for a good portion of the day. I utilize the platform on there sometimes, and I do also use my mobile application through my broker to be able to trade. And it's actually something that was really surprising, because I remember the first time I started trading, or I had to trade on my mobile app, the power had went out at my house, and I was in a trade, And so I had to jump on there, and I'm fumbling through this thing. And I'm like, oh my gosh, how do people trade on this thing? And then, at that point, I was like, there's no way people can do that. I need my full platform. And now having the experience that I have, having the background, being able to see how easy my strategy is to apply and everything else, I've been able to utilize the mobile side of it. And you're right. I get a few minutes here, I get a few minutes there. I'll pop open a few charts and see where they're at. I'll have kind of an idea in my head of where I want the trade to be or where I want the stock to be for me to enter into a trade. And then I'm able to apply my risk versus reward strategy to make sure that I'm either going to win or I'm only going to lose a little bit.
Yeah, so I know in talking with you kind of on the side, though, you're a huge fan of conditional orders, right? That's something you kind of you utilize while working full time?
Yes, conditional orders are definitely any kind of.
Let me jump in here. Why don't you guys define what a conditional order is? Because some listeners may have no idea. They may just think you started speaking Chinese there.
So a conditional order is really where you're placing the order, but you're wanting the stock to do something in particular before you either enter the order or exit the order. And so you're basically asking it and saying, I only want to sell if it breaks this trend line, or I only want to sell if it breaks this moving average, or and you can do the opposite, the same thing with your buying on that side. So it's really, it's kind of a middle step between what, as you get into trading, you learn what automated trading is, what algorithms are, and everything else. It's kind of a middle step that puts you in between manual trading, which is where you click the buy button and you set the price and everything, versus having an order out there that says, you know what, if this stock dips down from $10.50 all the way down to $10 in the next 3 candles, I want to buy. And so it's placing conditional orders has really been able to help me with my time management, I guess, what you would call, as I'm not able to trade all day. There's times where in the morning I'll put an order out there and I'll come back in maybe an hour and see if it got filled. I know that the places where I want to enter, and then even there, one of the things you mentioned with conditional orders is also what I call a bracket order, which is being able to say, if I enter this stock at $10, I'm either going to be wrong and I'm going to get out at a certain level below, or I'm going to be right and I'm going to get out at a certain level above. And so I can place an order that has all 3 of those orders in it, and it kind of manages the trade for me. Like I said, if all of a sudden I get called away or all of a sudden I have something else I need to do, then I can rest assured that the trade is going to be managed without me.
Right. And then I know we have a few other people actually in the inner circle who trade while having a full-time job. And he says he's got one of the guys says he has a hotkey where it will set a trailing stop for his options of 10%, and he can just kind of walk away. So you're a big fan of the trailing stops too, because I know you have to run off to meetings and stuff. Is that fair to say as well?
It is. One of the things I found that was kind of funny, I probably had about 3 days where I had set my orders and had a target level that I was looking to get out at, and then I had a stop level that I was looking to obviously, if the trade went against me, then I wanted to get out. And as my trading while working has evolved, one of the things I noticed was while I might not hit my target level that I wanted to hit, I was high enough above my entry price that there's no reason I should have lost money. And so, yes, one of the things I do implement now is I do use some trailing stops. I do, like I said, as often as I can, try, if I'm in a trade, I try to look back at my orders and, do little updates to increase my or decrease my risk level, I guess you could say, and make sure that I can secure some winning trades. Yeah,
just for the new people, a trailing stop. The best way to summarize that is it's improving your risk as time goes on. So the more time goes by, your risk is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And then eventually your risk is no longer if I'm going to lose money, but it's, well, how much money am I going to make? And as traders, that's our ultimate goal. We want to get into the situation where the only thing we're freaking out about is how much money are we going to make? And a trailing stop is something that's very helpful for that. Gator, what kind of, do you have any favorite indicators out there?
I know a lot of the people are Hooch talked about it, and maybe Ches did as well. The moving average convergence divergence, which most people just refer to as the MACD, is something that I do utilize only to kind of give me, a hint of what's going on. But one of the ones that I think a lot of people probably won't talk about, and it's kind of more personal to me, back in May and June when I was trading, one of the things as a new trader you'll come to realize, one of the stages of trading, or when you're going through your trading career, that a lot of people hit is you will buy the top and then you will hold it and you will be losing, and eventually it will get low enough that you will sell, and you will sell the bottom. And I realized that I was doing this. I was like, why? I'm waiting too long to buy, and then I'm holding right until the end to sell, and then it goes back up. And one of the indicators I do use is the money flow index, the MFI. It kind of helps me with where things are as far as the money flowing in and out of a trade. And it's just, like I said, it's a personal thing for myself. Anytime that I've seen an overbought condition and I bought into it, it's usually not turned out to be a great trade. And so I kind of use that as the back of my mind. Again, it's not one of the things that I base all my trades off of this one thing. And as long as this is below 10 and as long as this is above 100, I'm going to win. No, it's just another piece to put the probabilities into my favor.
Well, and you said it perfectly. You said it's a personal thing, and that's what trading is. You have to find what works best for you. And for Gator, the money flow index, the MFI, it's a nice little piece to the puzzle. But don't go out there and throw the MFI on your chart and start throwing money around with it. It doesn't work like that. If it was that easy, a lot more people would be successful. So yeah, just a personal thing, but very interesting. But I'm assuming, are your key indicators just simply price action and volume? I think when people hear indicators, they think, MACD or Bollinger Bands or MFI or, chalk and money flow. And they think about all these exotic indicators. But at the end of the day, would you agree that, the heart and soul of trading are the two indicators of price action and volume? Are those your two primary forces?
Oh, yes. Volume's big. I'm very big onto increasing volume in either direction to show that a trend is continuing or that it is a strong trend. And then price action, what is the price doing? Is it having trouble with this area? This stock has gotten up to $101.50 today, and it's struggled and it really can't get through it, and it keeps coming back down and bouncing up and coming back down and bouncing up. There's a lot of story to be told in how a stock reacts around different prices, and so as always, that's a big piece of the trading puzzle. I do use moving averages, just to really gauge how strong something is, but for the most part, like you said, the volume and the price action, the patterns that are being made, those are the important pieces.
Let me ask you this real quick. What's your favorite candlestick?
We call it in the inner circle a wolf candlestick. I think Clay made that up some time ago, but because it was, it's basically a inverted hammer, I guess is what they call it.
So I'm actually a little disappointed, Clay. You had told me that Gator was going to come on the podcast and give us the holy grail of trading today, but it looks like that's not something in trading.
Oh no, he's saving his hot stock picks for the last section. So
okay, all right.
Okay. I think he's got like 3 or 4 of them. One's I think trades for like 0002 right now, but don't worry, they are in the muffler business, so I'm expecting them to go to multiple dollars in the next 2 months. So
right. The way the economy is, mufflers are huge. They're going to be.
Well,
huge
they got to be stainless steel though. If they're not stainless steel, then they're garbage.
Course.
But yeah,
of course.
they're stainless. But
now,
let's go ahead, Chaz.
I was going to say, Gator, if you had to pick, what do you think is a personality trait, or just something that's kind of a recurring theme on like a personal level for traders to kind of keep them either trucking in the face of adversity, or in losses, or what do you think makes kind of a strong trader regardless of just them having say technical knowledge?
I would say you're right. It's the mentality. It's the understanding that you've gotten educated. You have a system that you are disciplined enough to follow. And at the end of the day, when I put on a trade, I have a strategy, I have a plan, and whether that trade makes me a profit or makes me a loss, when I follow that plan, it's a successful trade. And that's really the way you have to look at it. If you're making your if your strategy's something that works, which only you can tell through time and through testing, if you have the plan that makes it so that you know what, if my strategy only worked 40% of the time, I could still make money. And so that's a big piece of the puzzle, that I know that as long as I follow my plan, then that trade was successful. Do I have days where I lose money? Yes, I do. Are those days fewer and farther between as I continue in my trading career? They are. Can I have multiple days where I lose? Yes. But I know at the end of the day that through testing and through time that I've been using my strategy and my plan, that as long as I follow the plan, that I know I'm doing things correctly. And so that's the part that kind of takes the emotion out of it, in the fact that when you know that you have something that's already preset, I don't have to worry, oh my gosh, what is the stock going to do? Is it going to go back up? Is it going to come back down? I have my plan in place. The stock's going to move, and it's either going to stop me out for a small loss, or I'm going to hit my target and make a profit on it. And it's really been, a long journey. There's a lot of steps along that journey to where I've gotten, and I can't thank Clay enough for some of the things that he's been able to provide, as far as course material and things like that have really helped me in my career, and really just the whole idea of having a trade plan and a trade strategy, I think, is something that a lot of people miss when they think of the stock market and they think of putting money out there to trade, and just a really big piece that I think a lot of people miss. And, I hope people that are listening to this can hopefully gain something from my experience and see, and maybe kind of close their eyes and envision what it would feel like to be in a trade and be emotionless, even if you're going to take a loss.
Yeah, what you said is, it's one of those things where once you understand, once you trust the process and the system, it's really just numbers. As an engineer, you can appreciate it's all statistics, really. It's, okay, this is going to happen, I'm going to lose, and like you said, if I only win 40% of the time, I can still make money, and that's not magic, that's not backwards math, that's just simply, okay, I need to cut the losers fast, and when I get in the winners, I need to let the winner work for me. So, you just have finally, I know, if I'm putting false words in your mouth, sounds like you've just gotten to the point where you trust the numbers. Is that accurate?
That would be correct. I've gotten enough, like I said, experience and gone down the road enough to know that over the last 3 months, I've been able to be very happy with my trading and have full confidence in my abilities now on my own as a trader.
Let me ask you this, and this may sound like a goofy question, but people that are new into the markets, and when they start to do those Google searches and they start to do their research, they're going to come across all sorts of ads, all sorts of people very good at SEO marketing. They're going to say, hey, I got a hot stock pick for you. So if somebody comes across you in the street and says, hey, I got a hot stock pick, where you're at now in your journey, what would your response to that person be?
I don't even know. I mean,
Well, your response was all enough. You laughing at the question shows probably illustrates the point effectively. But in all seriousness too, I mean, what would be, for example, my answer would be, well, I need to see a chart on it. I mean,
yes,
but most
exactly. I would need to see a chart. I'm very independent in my trade strategy and finding my trades. One of the things the Inner Circle chat room is for is trade ideas, and that's people bringing tickers and charts and stocks to everyone's attention and saying, hey, there's a possibility of something going on here. And a lot of times I'll have to really look at the chart myself and see if it applies to me. I love the idea, and this is one of the things that is really core to Clay's courses and to kind of the system that he teaches or preaches is learn to fish on your own. Don't become someone who has to be led. Don't follow the wolf in sheep's clothing, only to have him slaughter you thereafter. Learn how to make your own trades. Learn how to find your own trades. So that you can feel confident in what you're doing. And it's not a system. I've seen a lot of websites and everything else where the guru, tells everybody about a pick, and then everybody goes and buys it, and everybody makes millions of dollars. And it just do your research. Following someone blindly, the numbers just don't work. And it's sad out there. There's a lot of education. There's a lot of different, I guess, sources that you can learn from as far as stocks go, as far as systems go, of how to trade. But they're not all made the same. They're not all created equal, I guess you could say. And so, it's tough. It's tough out there as a new trader trying to figure out where the right place to go is. And I guess I'm lucky I found Clay when I did, and I'm grateful.
Well, I appreciate that. But again, just to reiterate what he's saying, if trading is just as easy as, I want to follow this Clay guy, or I want to start to follow Gator, or I want to start to follow this guru guy, that's not, if trading was that easy, numbers don't lie. The success rate would be higher than 10%. If you think that you can just Google search your way and find a guru that has some fancy website that's promising to just hand drop you picks and you're going to become successful and make millions of dollars, go donate that money to a charity. Ches, you got some fun questions for Gator now, don't you?
I do. So yeah, but if you guys want to follow a really good trader, go to Chez's Hot Stock Picks. There's a lot of zeros in there instead of some actual letters. Of course, I would never steer you guys wrong. But
is that the site where you're sitting on your bicycle on the front saying, "I can get you one of these"?
Right. That's exactly it. I'm sitting in the basket in the front. But Gator, what's your favorite movie?
I knew you were going to ask me these kind of questions. I am horrible at answering on the spot when it comes to those kind of things.
I know one you are good at answering, though. What is your favorite meal? Because I know you love food.
I love food. I am a big fan of wings. I will eat wings 7 days a week if I could. Hot wings, chicken wings, I guess. Maybe not everybody calls them wings, but buffalo wings, yes. Any of the above. I love the food side.
Now, Gator, as a movie buff, I'm not going to let you escape that first question. I want to know your favorite movie.
We'll come back to that.
All right, we'll come back to that. What's your favorite dessert?
Favorite dessert is a strawberry cheesequake, I think is what they call it at Dairy Queen. They put little pieces of cheesecake in this like milkshake thing, and it's just, it's really good.
And what's a place you'd like to visit someday?
Place I'd like to visit.
Besides Chez's house.
Besides Chez's house. Yes.
My mansion. Let's get this correct.
The mansion. Before I fly the Apache to Chez's mansion. Actually, I would like to go back to Japan. My mom is actually from Japan. I'm half Japanese, and the last time I was there was when I was 3 years old. So it's somewhere I'd like to go back, and I have family there, and I'd like to travel there soon. So that's one place I'd like to go.
I did not know that about you, and we've known each other for a long time. I did not know that. Very interesting. What do you do for fun other than watch my Buckeyes win the national championship? What else is fun and hobbies? I say that because Gator is a big Florida Gators fan, so him and I, we like to give each other a hard time. But what kind of hobbies do you like to do?
I love to fish. Fishing is something that I've been doing for a very long time, and I enjoy traveling to different places. Saltwater fishing is probably more prevalent. I fly fish for trout on some of the streams and rivers here near Atlanta, and fishing is very peaceful. It's a way to just kind of forget about the world and be one with nature. I like to sail sailboats. I used to go down to the in my day, I used to spend my vacations down in the Virgin Islands. I had a group of guys from college and that I've known for a long time that we used to go down there and do bareboat charters with sailboats and go from island to island and just get away from it all. But those are probably my main two things that my getaway trips.
So when Ches and I come down to visit, are you going to have a nice fish meal prepared for us?
I do not eat the fish from the river here in Atlanta. I must make that that notion.
Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate you not just serving us some garbage. So
I would not serve you a three-eyed fish, but yes, I enjoy catching the fish, but I am a big fan of catch and release.
Gotcha.
When it comes to most of that time.
So if you could meet one person, and this person could be dead or alive, who would you want to meet?
Oh man, that's another tough one.
You want to talk about your favorite movie?
Hold on, I think Ches said it earlier. Was it Dumb and Dumber?
That's not your favorite movie.
Dumb and Dumber is always a safe answer. Always remember that.
Dumber is always, movies. It's I really.
What genre do you like? What genre? Let's go there then.
I'm huge into comedy. Office Space, Dumb and Dumber, as you said.
Yeah, that'd be great if you could answer these questions. Okay.
Yeah. Office Space is very funny in that by education, I'm an industrial engineer. And so a lot of the things that they go through in that movie are very fitting for some of the things that I've gone through in my education. And even my first job or first part of my career out of college was working for UPS as an industrial engineer. So there's just a lot of ties there. And so that movie really cracks me up.
Nice. And a couple more questions. This one will be real short because I'm limiting you to 3 words. But what do you think 3 words, if somebody said, hey, well, how would you classify, what words do you think are associated with a successful trader? What 3 words would you use?
I would use discipline. I would use educated. And I would use...
Lamborghini.
Probably I would use practice.
Nice. I like 3 words. 3 words. I'm a stickler on this question.
Practice, discipline,
and education. Very nice. And then finally, if Ches would let you use his time machine and you could go back to a year from now and give yourself one bit of advice, in just a few sentences to, if you only had a few seconds to talk to yourself, what advice would you give yourself back then about trading?
Only a year ago?
Is that when you got started?
Yes, that was when I got started.
There you go. When you first got started, before you are here.
I would have put more time in practice. I put money on the line when really I wasn't ready. And I thought I was doing the right things. And sometimes as you go along, sometimes you need to take some of those lumps. But really, I could have saved myself a lot of heartburn and a lot of heartache by practicing more. Like we talked about before, one of the big things that I'm a proponent of is knowing how to react to what the stock is doing without having to think. And practice is really where that comes into play. I associate it a lot with sports because I love sports, football, baseball, basketball, whatever it is. But one of the things I always talk about is, a pitcher out there on the mound doesn't have to think about how to throw a curveball when he goes to throw a curveball. And it needs to be the same thing when you're trading. The execution of the trade, the planning, the strategy, all the pieces of the trade need to be something that are natural to what you're doing. If you're having to think and it's holding you up from making a trade, you can either miss a trade or you can do something incorrectly, which we've seen a lot of people do. Try to buy something when they really meant to sell, or try to sell something when they really meant to buy. That's probably the biggest thing.
Awesome. Well, we really appreciate you coming on today. If people want to kind of reach out to you, talk to you, where can they find you? Twitter, Facebook, in the chat. What do you go by?
Most of the times, the best place to find me is in the chat room. One of the great things about the chat room is it's a place where you can help train and teach others, and that's a really great place to learn. I'm in there as GatorDC. You can also find me on Twitter, although I'm not a big person that's going to tweet out every trade I make and my entries and my exits. But I am on Twitter at GatorDC. I believe it's 03 are the numbers that are after my name there. And if people want to reach out to me there, I'm usually pretty active as far as replying or responding and helping people out.
Excellent. And I can attest to that. Gator has actually really convinced me that some of the more advanced option strategies are worth looking into, and I have been doing that. And I had no plans of that, but then Gator, who I respect immensely, he said, hey, you should really look into this, that, and the other. And now I'm doing some of these things and I'm implementing some of these strategies. So to you, Gator, thank you for talking to me in a very engineerish, logical way that convinced me that, hey, there's some substance to this advanced option stuff. So thank you very much for that. And also, of course, just thank you for being on the show. Really appreciate you taking time out of your day, because like we've established, you are also not only a trader, but with somebody with a full-time job. So thank you very much for being here.
Well, I appreciate it, and glad to share my experience, and I hope somebody out there can maybe take what I've learned and apply it to themselves, and really enjoy these type of podcasts. I've enjoyed the previous ones, and look forward to the ones in the future.
Well, I have a feeling that you're going to be back at future dates. So thank you, everybody, for listening. If you enjoyed this or just want to leave us some feedback, a few things that you could do if you're watching this or if listening to this on YouTube, you can leave a comment down below. If you're watching this on our site, just click one of those share buttons. And probably most importantly, if you're listening to this through iTunes, we would really appreciate you leaving a review. And, that just not only gives us a review, but also lets us know what we're doing right, maybe what we're doing wrong, and how we could improve things. We're all for constructive criticism. I don't mind criticism at all. It's just got to be constructive. So we'd love to hear from you. If you want to go to claytrader.com/contact, you can also get in touch with me. You can hit Ches up, ches@claytrader.com. And, we really do mean this. This isn't just lip service. If you reach out to us, it really is our intention to get back to you and help you out any way you can. So again, listen to this on our site. Just click one of those share buttons, or if this is on iTunes or one of the other sources, please do leave a review and feedback. So, Ches, do you have any other final words of wisdom?
Dumb and Dumber.
Dumb and Dumber, that's it.
I guess not, but yeah, I want to actually thank you, Gator. You were one of the first people to kind of help me in the beginning of my trading journey, and I actually met Gator through the chat, and he helped me out a lot as far as kind of just being a good support system like a lot of people are in the chat. So I want to thank you personally for that, because that was a huge help in getting me to where I am right now.
No problem, bud. I appreciate it all the time, being able to help people out, and it's really it's similar to it's where me and Clay kind of mesh together, is the education part and helping others is really something that you either like or you don't, and I love it. So
yeah, you definitely have to have a passion for it. That is for sure. Well, thank you very much, everybody, and we will be back for episode number 5. Everybody take care.
This has been the Stock Trading Reality Podcast. Thanks for taking the time to hang out. To learn more about Clay and the Clay Trader community, including the trading team, premium training, and more, visit claytrader.com.